Yes, so anyway, I'm really, really excited to get this opportunity to teach about something that I would say is not the most mainstream topic. So bless Healthy Seminars and Lorne and his team for always allowing me to be a little bit outside the box, because we still have patients that are not in a box all the time. And so what do we do when patients walk in and they don't fit a standard, nice, easy diagnosis or a nice, easy emotional format? So this is what we're doing today. And so it's broken up into two main areas. The most time we're going to spend is on sympathy, empathy. We're going to look at it through 5-element archetype model, which if you don't know much about the 5-element archetypes, we're going to basically introduce it very quickly to start with, and then we're going to look at each of them in more detail in terms of how they fit within a sympathy empathy framework, and look at treatments or acupuncture point combinations for each one. If then that kind of tweaks your interest in terms of 5-element archetypes, I do have, I think it might be a 10-hour or maybe even a bit longer workshop series with Healthy Seminars on the 5-element archetypes. And I do have a big chapter on it in my point combination book as well. There are other books that do have 5-element archetypes. Probably the first one that this book may look quite familiar to you if you've done anything on 5-element archetypes. Between Heaven and Earth was probably the first one that really brought it into our consciousness, and it was written back in 1991, so it was quite a while ago, and there's been some more that have been released recently, so we'll talk more about those as we move through it. And then the back end of the workshop will be a discussion on the 100th monkey theory, excuse me, collective consciousness, critical mass. I guess there's different names to describe similar types of thinking. And then have a bit of a play on how we could look at treating people in that space, and a little exercise in that space as well. So I get quotes from very strange places, and yes, when you look at where I got this quote from, you might be, David, you didn't seriously watch that series, did you? Yes, I did. So the quote is, "Love and death are the great hinges on which all human sympathies turn. What we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others lives beyond us." So that was Hannibal Lecter saying that to one of his psychology patients in the Hannibal Lecter TV series, which was fascinating look at human existence, human life. I thought the series was really quite fascinating, but you got to like that sort of stuff, I guess. But yeah, wonderful, wonderful quote, and feeds into this workshop beautifully. So this is one of your quiz questions. Emotions are a completely acceptable form of expression, release, and communication, as long as the emotion displayed is the appropriate emotion for the event. The quiz question, of course, was emotions can create disease, and disease can create emotions. So what we're basically saying on that slide, of course, is that in Chinese medicine, there's nothing wrong with emotions. Okay, so if it's an appropriate event for you to be angry, then be angry. In fact, if you are not angry and you bottle it in and you swallow it down, that potentially that is the wrong response and could create problems later on, almost like a volcano that's simmering away underneath. You keep swallowing it down, and you might end up becoming a volcano that erupts later on down the track. So it's about expressing the right emotion, releasing it, communicating it, moving on. But the emotions can become a problem, obviously, if you display the wrong emotion, or the right emotion at the wrong time. And obviously, we also believe that emotions can create disease if given enough time, and that diseases can actually also create emotions if given enough time. So hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. So we're going to talk about, as I said, the 5-element archetypes to start with, then sympathy and empathy within those models, because at the moment I still think that's probably the best way to tackle sympathy and empathy for our patients.